This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
Hey everybody, this is Chase from Barrel Age Flicks. Go ahead and check out our Patreon for raw, uncut footage and early access to all of our episodes. The link is in the description, and it's only $5 a month. Thanks for listening.
You better pray to the God of skinny punks that this wind doesn't pick up, because I'll come over there and jam an oar up your ass.
I was checking the specs on the end line for the rotary girder. I'm retarded.
Did you eat a lot of paint chips when you were a kid?
Why? No offense, but if I sent a picture of your mom to some of my buddies at school, she'd definitely be boner of the month.
It's called reading. Top to bottom, left to right. Group words together as a sentence. Take Tylenol for any headaches. Midol for any cramps.
Sure. I'm ready. Hey, does this suit make me look fat?
No. Your face does.
You must be Tommy.
Brothers don't shake hands. Brothers gotta hug.
Mr. Callahan, I need your John Hancock on these reports.
John Hancock. It's Herbie Hancock. Yeah. Hey, there's even a fridge. This is great. You can put 6 packs of soda in here, milk, yogurt. You can put candy bars in the freezer. Bees! Bees! Bees in the car! Bees everywhere! God, they're huge! They're ripping my clutch off!
Hey everybody, this is Barrel Age Flicks. I'm Lenny, yeah man, and this is...
Hey, this is Ron. Let's drink, talk some movies.
We also have...
What's going on, you fucking nerds? This is Tyler. Let's talk about some modern mythology.
And finally...
This is Stu. Let's drink, motherfucker.
All right, guys. So, we're here for the Tommy Boy episode. I am fucking stoked for this. This was my pick. And this is a unique situation because this is one of the first times we've done a podcast immediately after watching the film.
Yeah. Yes.
Ron here hadn't actually fucking seen it. And
Yeah,
I know,
shut
and hey,
up,
for those of
fucking
you
loser.
for those of you fans out there that have made comments and
Come
have
on.
said shit, I am incredibly appreciative of you rousing this motherfucker for having never seen it. He watched it, and we will get his opinion on that. But before we start the show, as always, everybody, we're going to go ahead and start off with our drink of choice. A drink I decided to go with is something called an Irish Catholic. Reason I chose this drink was because, you know, may he rest in peace, my boy Chris Farley was an Irish Catholic. It was very well established and known, so I went ahead and went with this drink. It is...
Ooh, smells good.
Yeah, it is 1 part amaretto and 3 parts Irish whiskey. I went ahead and tried to get as authentic as I could with it and went with a Jameson.
Yes.
So
yes.
I've got it poured here, and you guys bottoms up. Enjoy. Tell me what you think.
Prost.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
It's a little harder to cheers now.
You're a little far.
Yes, we got a new setup here, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, fuck. This is good.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
There's like a slight hint of like sweet from the amaretto, but it's not like so much that it makes you turned off by the drink.
Tastes like guilt and rage.
Just tastes like heaven.
Instant pregnancy.
This tastes like fucking, oh my God, I fucking love it. This is good. Good choice. First of all, I'm a Jameson fan by heart. I think everybody knows that.
Oh, yeah.
And I can taste the Jameson. And amaretto, it's kind of like a cherry flavor.
Yeah, it's like a cherry almond liqueur, but honestly, man, it's not
too sweet.
It's not
And that's why I
overly
don't like-
sweet.
That's why I like it, because if it put a little bit too much sweetness in it, I wouldn't have liked it, but this is just perfect. I enjoyed this. I'm already almost done.
Dear God. This is going to be an interesting show, ladies. He
Fucking
fucking
the win next episode.
he
All over
fucking
again.
shouted that drink, dude. So, all right, Ron, we got your opinion.
Two thumbs up. 2 fucking thumbs up. I loved it.
So, Tyler, what do you think, man?
No, dude, the amaretto definitely adds something to it. Because like that's what you said, right? It's just Jameson amaretto. Like that's it.
Yep,
That's
that's it.
on rocks this time.
We have more, right?
Yeah, yeah. I got more. If you want more, I got more.
Yeah, no, no, dude, it definitely tastes really good. The amaretto definitely adds something to it. So 2 thumbs up.
Awesome.
You don't think it's too sweet, do you? It's like
No, it's nothing like some of the other stuff we've done, like the Comfortably Numb and like in like the Windex and all that stuff, whatever's like was way too sweet. Screwball was way too sweet. This
Yeah.
is not even close.
Bad memories for this guy over here.
That
Fucking bad
shit
memories.
is blasphemy. I hate Screwball.
You're probably gonna be tasting it again tonight.
Fuck
Oh,
you.
at some point, Stu, what do you got for me?
As a fan of Jameson, I'm definitely giving this 2 thumbs up. The tail end of it definitely gets mild down by the amaretto. So this is actually, I think, will be a great drink for somebody who isn't a huge fan of whiskey
Yeah.
because of the burn on the at the end of it.
Right.
This would soften it up and give them that nice little minor mellow.
You know, I
sweetness.
didn't even realize
Nice.
that. It does take the burn away, but the thing is,
Yeah.
I like the burn of
Yeah,
Jameson.
no, I absolutely enjoy it too. But
Yeah.
this would be a great one to get somebody who isn't a fan of whiskey for that
Right.
reason to enjoy whiskey.
Yeah.
So let's put it this way. My wife actually did a shot of this, and she doesn't like whiskey, and she actually was able to tolerate it. So,
Yeah.
you know, me personally, I like it. I'm a fan. I've always been a big fan of whiskey. It's been my drink forever. I used to, especially back in my college days, I used to walk around with a flask of just fucking straight Jack. I didn't actually really get into Jameson until I met you guys. So I like to drink a lot. Like
Really?
I said, I think it takes. Yeah, I mostly just went for Jack. I would drink Jack
Yeah,
and
see, I'm
Coke.
not a Jack fan. Jameson by heart.
But no, it's like you said. I think Stu, you nailed it perfectly. It's got that that afterburn is kind of softened a bit by the amaretto, but not enough to where, like Tyler was saying, where it's overly sweet to where you're like, ugh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I give it 2 thumbs up as well. I
Right
really
on.
enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So
Good choice, man. Good choice.
Thank you. So we'll get into the show. We have a little bit of a different setup now for those of you listening. We were at Ron's bar, and we finally went ahead and got a table, and now have a little bit more room here to kind of chill and relax and do our thing. It's really, really nice. And
I'm no
before
longer the meat in the Lenny Tyler sandwich.
yeah, you've got
You
space
stuck that
now.
right in the middle.
So before we get started, I just wanted to say that I have seen some of the reviews that our fans have been putting out there, and I just wanted to give a quick shout out. Hey, really appreciative of that, guys. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you for the kind words, and thank you for any critiques you give. We're humbled and really appreciative of that. So.
Yeah, they seem to really like the show, but they're like, your guys' drink choices suck. The show is fucking great. Thank you, guys. We appreciate it.
And
Yeah,
the
no.
one who said, as a big fan of movies and a mild alcoholic, I will say that's probably one of the best opening lines in a review that I've ever seen.
Yeah,
I loved that.
That was fantastic. So for whoever that is that gave that review, we really appreciate it. Really, thank you for listening.
Cheers, good friend.
Absolutely. So the movie is Tommy Boy. It featured notorious, amazing, may he rest in peace, Chris Farley and David Spade. We had, you want to name a few others that were in there in that movie that you saw?
Brian
I know we had
Dennehy,
Brian
Bo
Dennehy,
Derek,
Bo Derek,
Rob Lowe.
Yep.
Yeah, massive amount of people.
Dan Aykroyd.
Yes.
This was a great movie. So just to give a quick synopsis for those of you that haven't seen it, and if you haven't seen it,
Shame on you.
You should do a penalty shot right now. I'm not talking. See, Ron, Ron
Ron is like a beat dog.
Ron has been hit.
Fucking peanut butter's just going to be going in my mouth. No.
Ron has been hit by the punishment shot
had
one
worse
too
in
many
your mouth.
times, and this fucking guy comes looking over at me like, no. So for those of you who haven't seen it, it's a great movie. So it features Chris Farley's character who, by the skin of his teeth, graduates college. It's really funny. Comes back home to his hometown. His father runs a brake pad, it's brake pads.
It's auto parts.
But it's auto
Automotive
parts, yeah. Factory in Sandusky, Ohio. And, his dad, it seems like everything seems to be going great. Like his dad's got this new wife who's gorgeous, played by Bo Derek. And now he's got this new brother-in-law who's supposed to be supposedly Bo Derek's son, played by Rob Lowe.
Brothers don't shake hands.
Oh my God, bro. So yeah, you're gonna get a lot of that for this episode because there's so many fucking great lines in this movie.
I got to go ahead and say it. I'm just going to say it right now. Me being the only one not being able to see, not seeing this movie and seeing it now, I fucking loved it. It was great. I had a
Nice.
good time with this movie. In fact, enjoying it with my bros here, watching that movie, it was a good time. I fucking loved it.
We got a hug now.
We should hug and sing. So I will say one thing that I love to do is when I have a movie that's near and dear to my heart, or I love a lot, I love being able to sit and watch that movie with someone who hasn't seen it before, because you get that. There's that all those memories that you have from when you first saw this movie come flooding back. It's fucking great.
Now, did you see this when it first came out? Like, did you see it in the theaters, or did you see it on like VHS?
For me, no, I didn't even. So when this came out, I was, I want to say I was like 12.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was young, man. I was like 12, 13 years old, and no, I didn't see it in theaters. I didn't know anything about it. So a little bit of background on me. When I was young, my dad was pretty freaking cool. So, Dad, if you're listening to this, I appreciate it. He every Saturday night, my dad would let me stay up late, and him and I would watch Saturday Night Live together. And this was back in that era when fucking Chris Farley, David Spade, Adam Sandler, all the like fucking icons of SNL were doing their thing in the
Will Ferrell, that's
early
when
90s.
he basically began too.
He kind of began. He started. Will Ferrell started the Next Generation right after Chris Farley and company, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, so so I would watch SNL with my dad, and Chris Farley and all these guys were on there. So this movie came out to VHS. My mom was a movie addict. Like every Tuesday, she was one of those people that every Tuesday she was at the video store when they opened, and they'd have all the new releases, and they would, she'd rent them. And one of them was Tommy Boy. And all I remember is I saw Chris Farley and David Spade on the front of the box, and I was like, oh, yeah, I know those guys from SNL. This will probably be good. And then I watched the movie, and I was like, this is fucking gold. Like, this is amazing. Like, literally every, 3 minutes, something hilarious is happening to the point where, I'm laughing, my stomach's hurting from laughing so hard.
Yeah.
It's fucking brilliant. What about you guys? Did you see it in theaters, or did you end up renting it, or when was your first time?
Dude, I don't even remember, man. I just know this was one of my dad's favorite movies, and we watched it a bunch of times. I can't remember. I know I didn't see it in theaters because going to the movie theaters back when I was a kid was a pretty special thing. I know for a fact I saw Jurassic Park in theaters because
I saw that twice.
I was 6. And, of course, at that age, you love dinosaurs and, it's your whole, being and everything. And, I could tell you, how fast, a Tyrannosaurus could run, how tall they were, all that shit or whatever. And so, of course, when I found out there's, a movie could be made about dinosaurs, I had to see it. I bugged the shit out of my parents to let me go, to take me to go see Jurassic Park. So, so I know for a fact that I saw that movie in theaters. But I honestly don't remember the first time I saw Tommy Boy. I just know, that I saw it a bunch of times growing up. And yeah, dude, the exact same thing, man. Grew up watching this movie, the quotes between me and my brothers and everything, and it's just this movie kind of helped shape my childhood, And I was saying earlier, knowing Lenny now, I could and watching this movie again, and I was just I understand so much about your personality.
Yeah, I would definitely say that, and I don't know if it's just because I watched him as a kid or what, but some of my mannerisms, especially when I've been drinking a good amount, are exactly like fucking.
No,
Chris Farley.
I
and I'm
saw
not
it
doing
just
it
when
on
we were
purpose.
watching
It just kind of happens, and people are like, "Holy shit!" You know.
Dude, well, you'll be doing some goofy shit or whatever. You're like, I'm retarded.
Yeah. No, I have actually heard you say that many times. So that's where you got that from.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I've. There's been several times, at work and in my personal life. My wife has probably heard it at least 5 times a day, every day. She's will ask me a question because she loves to ask me why. She wants to know the why of why I did something. I never fucking have a why. I'm like, I'm retarded. I don't know. I think that's my answer. I don't fucking know I'm retarded.
How about you, Stu?
I may have seen it in theaters. It's one of those things where, as long as I can remember, I remember this movie. It definitely seems like something I would have seen in theaters. I would have probably been about 8th grade, I think, when this came out. I was watching Saturday Night Live regularly, huge fan of that entire generation. That's SNL in my mind, that time frame.
Which is there's a good question I want to ask you guys sometime down in the show. About Chris Farley.
And then my best friend growing up lived down the street from me. I know I talked about him before, like during the Monty Python episode.
I know what you're talking about.
And we would regularly watch comedies and stuff like that. So this seems like something we may have seen in theaters. I can't swear to it, though. It's just one of those things that it's always in my mind. It is. And
Did you guys own the VHS? Because I know we did.
Yeah.
That was how we watched it.
Yeah, I know. We did have it on VHS, but I can't remember if we got it on VHS because we had already seen it or we got it on VHS because we hadn't seen it. Yeah. I can't remember the steps that were involved there. Of course, we also watched a lot of bootlegs. So it may have been in theaters and not on VHS yet when we watched it. Can't remember exactly. But no, it was one of those things. And rewatching it now, I realize how many lines, that regularly just come out of my mouth. That is part of my lexicon. And like Fat Man, Little Coat. I do that shit. And
what'd you do?
What'd you do?
Every time somebody fucks up, I'm just like, what'd you do?
Or you got to be in touch with your feelings.
Yeah. He fucking drops the blanket and you're like, oh, God, those are tiny underwear. I love it, dude.
So I do that stuff. Probably something similar with Farley-inspired type of actions in my daily life because I'm a fat man. And it just works.
I'm the lame one. I've never seen it. So
yeah, he hadn't seen it.
No,
I've seen trailers.
You can remember the first time clearly that you saw it.
Shut up.
We can't.
Shut up. No, I didn't see it. I saw trailers for it, and I've seen, the thing is, Chris Farley, I've never seen, oh, God, I'm going to get shit for this. I've never seen Beverly Hills Ninja. I've never seen Black Sheep. I've never seen
a lot
of
guys,
his.
unload on this motherfucker.
Fuck are you?
Fuck you. All right, I'm sorry.
What did you have against Chris Farley?
I saw Airheads.
What did you have against Chris Farley?
I saw Airheads. I saw Coneheads.
Okay.
Hey,
He's like, oh, I've seen Goodfellas, I've seen Citizen Kane, but you haven't seen Chris Farley movies? Fuck you.
I've seen him in SNL, seriously, but I don't know.
I've seen Godfather 3. I never saw Godfather 1.
All right. Fuck you guys.
No. Here's Ron in a nutshell. I've seen that obscure movie made back in 1972 by that obscure director or whatever, Grindhouse film, blah, 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 blah. I know all this, whatever. Have you seen Tommy Boy? No.
No, like, what the fuck is happening?
I will say this, as long as I've known Ron, in the beginning, the first year or two that I knew him, there was a lot of shit that he had not seen. I was very surprised.
See, I hold Ron in like this high regard, being like this very, very educated film connoisseur. Like
he's done a great job
to hear
catching up.
To hear that he hasn't seen a lot of movies, I'm shocked.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. I've seen a lot of movies that some people have never seen, but the thing is, there's a lot of iconic movies out there that I haven't seen. I bring them up to Stu all the time. You're like, are you fucking kidding me? You didn't see that?
It still floors me.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
We got to make a list.
Yeah, dude.
He has made a list. He has made a list. I've seen it, and it's ridiculous.
But there's also, I'm sure if I made you know what? Shut the fuck up. You didn't even see fucking all that. You see the Holy Grail, but you haven't seen every other single Monty Python movie.
That's true.
But that's more of I can understand that more than not seeing basically any of Chris Farley's main starring films. That doesn't make sense to me at all. With the age range that we are, how did you not immerse yourself in Farley?
Did you see Billy? Did you see?
He only made films.
I've seen Billy Madison.
Okay.
I've seen every Adam Sandler movie.
It was only about 2 years that he was making films before he died.
Well,
how did he not see that?
Yeah, I was going to say every single Adam Sandler movie that he ever fucking made where Chris Farley was alive, Chris Farley was in it in some way, shape, or form.
Yes. Yeah.
So, you at least have that. We'll give you that saving grace.
Yeah, it's the lame pie side of me.
So most of you guys know that his father ends up dying. And honestly,
I hated that scene.
Yeah, dude, that was the one part of this movie. I was like, what if maybe his dad got really sick, or maybe his dad was like, I got to hang it up, but again, you're shaking your head, and I agree with you. It was a necessary evil, and the reason why it was necessary is because it had to be something that drastic that made Tommy, of all people, his son, who is seen as this big imbecile, to be the one that has no choice. Hey, fucking balls in your court. You either score or you don't.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he had to run with it and hope for the best.
Forced him to grow up, and you saw him grow up.
Yeah.
Throughout the film, turning from the complete moron. He's still an idiot as far as educationally wise.
Oh yeah,
he's still an idiot, but he grew up in front of your eyes from the beginning of the film till the end of the film.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's more of a cliche because of a lot of films have done that too. So
of course it's a cliche,
but I have to say this: Brian Dennehy. That's how you say it.
Dennehy.
Dennehy. I thought he did a magnificent job. In fact, to the point where it almost felt like that they were true father and son.
Yes.
I fucking love
that
the chemistry between both
is
of them.
fucking great.
And I will say, looked similar enough where
Yeah.
I 100% could believe father and son.
I wanted to see
I couldn't
more.
think of a different actor to play that role.
I wanted to see more. And then when it came to the wedding, I was like, man, something's going to happen. Because I've never seen this, but I was expecting, I was like, he's going to fucking die or he's going to get a heart attack. And it happens. And I was like, come on, why? Because I was enjoying their chemistry together. I was like, oh, there's got to be more of this.
It's
But he still
bittersweet for
died
a short amount.
having a great time
Yes.
with his son.
Yes.
Having
Dying-
an amazing time.
Singing that song by Ray Charles. What was the name of the song, Tyler?
What I say?
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Tyler?
No, it was just so for one thing, like you're talking about like he died happy, whatever. It's like, yeah, he banged Bo Derek. Of course, he was fucking happy. Another thing too, I noticed as we're watching this again, I'm really glad that we sat down, like we watched this all together as a group again, man. Because as for as many times as I've seen this movie, I guess I haven't watched it recently, or at least like with the more critical eye that we all seem to have now since we started doing the show. But this movie had a lot of heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
was
yeah.
something like that. It
Yes.
never really occurred to me before. Like that's for as funny and as quotable as a movie this is. It has a lot of heart, and it kind of occurred to me while I was watching this that a lot of modern comedies don't have that same heart anymore.
No.
Everybody loves Step Brothers, but there's really not a lot of heart in that movie. It's funny, it's ridiculous,
just-
it's more
it's absurd, but there's not like that same kind of where what Stu said, like you watched him grow up,
Yeah.
like in this movie.
Yeah.
There's a lot of moments where he's breaking down under the crushing responsibility of having to take over his father's business on the spot, and having to evolve and become more confident to be a better salesman to so he can save his legacy. I mean, it's a pretty serious responsibility that he takes, and like Stu said, you watch him grow up, and that character arc is not something you see in a lot of modern comedies.
Well, that was in a lot of 90s. Like a comparison to that would be Liar Liar, about Jim Carrey, how he becomes a better father to his son at the end.
A goose.
I will say that's a common running theme, though, of all the Chris Farley starring movie vehicles. Black Sheep, you see him
Black Sheep, yeah, again, and so
gain more maturity.
Ron.
Beverly Hills Ninja,
Come on.
the love that he feels for his adopted brother in Beverly Hills Ninja,
Yep.
and everything that goes along there. Yes, it's still a comedy, very slapstick, but the motivation that he has to try to make his adopted family proud and everything was wonderful. Not that you would know what I'm talking about, Ron, because you're a fucking moron.
So
come on.
Black,
I
so
knew
Black
this was gonna
Sheep.
happen.
Black Sheep is very similar, and I'll just bring it up real briefly. Ron hasn't seen it, so I don't want to spoil it too much. But I will say that there are people out there that definitely have the opinion that Tommy Boy was the better movie. There are people that say that Black Sheep is like the sequel.
I hear all I hear is Tommy Boy. I hear.
So-
and also there was another one he did with Matthew Leonard
Perry.
From Friends.
Yeah, Matthew Perry.
Matthew Perry. What was the movie?
Yeah, it was something about going out west or whatever. Basically,
Yeah.
what it was is that they were
Wagons East.
No, that's
No.
that's
No.
John
That's
Candy.
kind of, you're right.
That's
You're right.
John
You're right.
Candy.
You're right.
no, that movie.
Oh
was
yeah, I remember which one you're talking about. Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
Almost
Yes, yes,
Famous
yes,
or something
yes.
like that. Something famous or something. I don't know.
Almost Heroes.
Almost Heroes.
Yes.
Yeah. I knew it had almost.
Yeah,
in it.
that movie was about basically Chris Farley and Matthew Perry. They play this secondary team to Lewis and Clark.
Yeah.
During
And I've seen that one.
Yeah.
I've actually seen that one. I remember I saw it on TBS.
Yeah.
I
that
have
was
seen
the
that one.
least funny of the his starring.
I think it was his last one, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was one of the last films you did. You definitely look that up. But no, what I was going to
That
say
feels
is
like
that Black Sheep was, and it's something we might, I don't know, maybe in the future we'll do a show on it. But it was good. But I think the problem was there was just way too many similarities as far as that movie versus Tommy Boy. So because of that, a lot of people compared the two, and because of that, a lot of people said, "Oh, it's Tommy Boy Part 2." And I honestly, I feel like there is that stigma that people have that if it's a sequel, it's just not going to be as good as the original. Like 99.9% of the time, people always automatically go, "Oh, the sequel wasn't as good as the original." Like any movie that you can think of, pretty much.
I didn't know he was in Dirty Work.
Yeah,
watch that
dude.
again.
He was the
has
guy that his nose kept getting bitten off by the Saigon whore.
Oh my God, I remember that. Okay, yeah.
You bit off my. He had like an artificial nose, and she bit that one off.
Yeah. Man, his filmography is so small. I mean, Airheads, Coneheads. I've seen both the Wayne Worlds. It's just Black Sheep and Beverly Hills and Tommy Boy that I haven't seen.
He was basically groomed by Lorne Michaels and the industry at that time. They saw his potential starring ability. So they groomed him, expecting he'd have this great comedy career like so many other SNL alums. And this was his first one, and then he just burned too bright and fucking died off.
Well, you all want to know a fun fact about it? He was originally going to voice Shrek in the animated Shrek series.
He actually recorded most of it.
Yeah, and in fact, I think I remember something where they released some of the audio of that somewhere.
You can find it on YouTube.
Yeah, and also there's another thing where basically they made his face, the Shrek, to look just like Chris Farley. And after watching this, I could see Shrek a lot, so I just noticed that.
But they had to redo a lot of animation and everything because when they brought Michael Myers in and him wanting to do the Scottish brogue that he had for the character, they had to change a lot of shit around because Michael Myers wanted to make it his own.
Yeah, I think it worked out better though.
Yeah,
I mean, because I
can't say it worked out better because without seeing what the finished polished product that Chris Farley was going to do, and that I can't honestly say what would have been better or worse.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty resolute. Like I think that Mike Myers did better. Like because like all respect to Chris Farley and like having him pass and everything. I think Mike Myers, with his Scottish accent, worked a lot better because with it being like a Euro like fairy tale, it definitely fit the part a lot better. I've heard some of the dialogue from the YouTube video like that's out there where you can hear some of the audio and it just it doesn't hit the same way. So Mike Myers' version I thought was better.
Yeah, which he basically did in his movie So I Married an Axe Murderer, and that's kind of where because you can hear Shrek in that,
and also
Fat Bastard from Austin Powers.
Yeah, he also plays his father.
Yes,
and his father is from Scotland.
Yeah,
and so that actually the scene where it's at the wedding, and there's the piper playing or something. The piper has a heart attack and falls over.
Yeah,
give a piper down, piper down,
piper down.
Yeah, that movie is fucking great too. I mean, for a chick flick, like rom-com like that was another great Mike Myers movie.
Yeah.
So one of the things I was going to ask as far as Tommy Boy goes, now that you've seen the film, we'll start with you. What is one of your you'll
favorite
know
scenes?
That with me, a lot of my questions, a lot of my dialogue is usually very generic, but it brings forth some good conversation. So what is one of your favorite scenes in the film and why?
This is actually pretty easy. It's anytime, it was fun watching him with David Spade.
Yeah.
It was a lot of great scenes, but I really enjoyed him and his father. I really enjoyed that. In fact, because it kind of made me, it kind of brought me back to my dad and everything else. And I loved it. I loved how they both were alike in every way. They just seemed, the chemistry was so great. The whole wedding scene, I loved. And then he fucking dies. So that sucked. But overall, every scene with him and his father were great. And now if I were to go to another scene in the movie, the bee scene was kind of funny.
Yeah.
The fucking bee scene when they're trying to escape away from the cops and everything and kind of trick their way out. That was funny. I enjoyed that part. And nice. Chris Farley was hilarious in the role. I thought he nailed it perfectly for his son, Tommy Boy, for his father.
Perfect. Okay, cool. What about you, Tyler?
So I can't say which scene is my favorite, man.
Because there's so many.
Well, there's so many. Also, it's like your kids, you have you can't really say which one's your favorite.
Yeah, you can.
Even though you know. So I'm going to say which one's my favorite. So my favorite is the scene with the in the restaurant where he gets his first quote unquote sale with with Helen the waitress.
Oh yeah.
This is my sale. He's like it's like the what do you say the Indian or whatever the new whatever.
The idiot Jojo the idiot circus boy. He's got a shiny
brand new pet. Yeah.
See,
and I pet it and I massage it. And I love my little pet. And then he goes, oh my God! I killed it.
You know what? That goes back to the scene. There is one scene that I fucking love was that scene with the car. with the toy car inside the office.
Oh yeah,
He sets it on fire.
We're burning alive.
Yes, that scene.
All because you wanted to save a few pennies.
That scene was kind of funny, and he says, "Get out!" And he was trying to put the fire out, and he just walks out. The fire's still sitting on his desk.
Yeah, dude, that was fucking great.
Do you validate? No,
get out now. What about you, Stu?
Okay, so as much as I love the comedic parts of it, I think the scene that sticks with me the most, just because I think it was actually something that showed the actual range that Chris Farley could have, was when they're sitting around the table after the father died in the office, and he comes up with the idea of putting up his shares, putting up his portion, putting up his house, and everything in order to secure the financing that they need to keep this place running and keep the town alive, and him just saying, well, what if I do this, and willing to sacrifice everything in order to try to save not just his father's legacy, but save the town that he grew up in and the people that he grew up in. And I could look on his face and see him throwing everything he had behind that. It was so believable of a move. That scene right there is going to stick with me. Yeah. That shows some of the great range that he had that they didn't really ever play up too much.
Right.
Yeah, and
that makes sense. So fucking serious all the time.
It makes sense, man, because it really shows. It was extremely believable that he legitimately cared about every last fucking person that worked for that company. Like, it wasn't just, my dad runs the company and I'm his son, and like, he had like a personal relationship. Like, you notice, like, he was walking through the factory, he's fucking saying hi to all these people and calling them out by name. Like, he knows,
and they all love him. That's the thing.
And even after, towards the end of the film, I know we're jumping ahead, but after the orders get screwed up because of Rob Lowe's character, and he comes in and he talks to the girl, and she's all blaming herself and upset. He isn't coming in there like a dick. He's coming in there like you can tell, just heartbroken at the situation, and he's still not even yelling at her about it or trying to blame her. He's saying, well, maybe if you had done this differently, maybe. He isn't even being mean to the person who, at all rights, and everybody would believe, cost the entire town.
Right.
He's not taken out because he cares for the people. And yes, of course, he cares for her romantically as well. Yeah. But I don't think it would have mattered whether that was his girlfriend or just another regular employee.
Yeah.
I think he would have still came in there the same way as a person who's caring about somebody who feels bad about that at that moment in time.
You know what's really heartbreaking about that is so a long time, like, we've all been, what, three-fourths of us have been fans of this film for a long time, and a lot of Chris Farley.
You guys are going to keep fucking pushing that shit on me. Seriously,
everyone continue to rub the salt in the wound.
So I read the Chris Farley show, the biography, sort of like an amalgam, like biography, basically stories from all these people that he knew throughout his life. Biography book about him, and there's one quote in the book that where it says. Where it talks about how the movie was loosely based on Chris's life. There's a lot of parallels. His character played rugby in college. So did Chris. His dad.
The college that he went to, the Muskogee College or whatever that he went to in the film. That's the actual name of the college that Chris Farley attended.
Yeah.
That jacket that he wore, Muskogee College rugby. That was his jacket that he actually wore growing up.
Yeah, that's really neat. Yeah. So there's a lot of small things. I mean, even the path that Chris took in his actual life, and the path of Tommy Boy, whatever, is wildly different. There's a lot of small things that are incredibly similar. Like even his own families in the movie, like Kevin Farley and Tom Farley.
Yeah, I noticed them right at the wedding, at the table at the wedding, all together, right there.
Yeah,
looks just like him.
Yeah, they played parts in the movie. But there is something that a quote from the book that kind of. It's kind of heartbreaking, but also kind of nice to know that Chris was genuinely that nice of a person in real life. He said, is a quote by Father Tom Gannon, and he said that people always ask him what type of person that Chris Farley was, and he'd always say, "Go and see Tommy Boy. That was Chris Farley."
Yeah,
and I can believe that. I really can. Everything.
That's awesome, dude.
Every interview I heard about people's interactions with him. all line up that he was always trying to make people happy, even at his own cost. He was more concerned about putting a smile on your face, and that's why he went in the route that he went.
Yeah, and the thing is, about his weight and everything, he didn't care. He actually used that. He actually made comedy with it, and he loved it. A lot of people, in fact, aren't they making like a brand new thing about it where people are saying how they don't like how he was used on Saturday Night Live because of his weight and everything?
That was his choice.
That was his choice.
Yeah, he leaned into that 100%.
Which is fucking bullshit, the way that they're saying that.
You know what I find funny about that is to kind of bring up another funny fat guy was Will Sasso from Mad TV.
Yes.
He was a big fat dude, and he played that card.
Yeah.
He was like Mad TV's version of Chris Farley. And there was actually really funny. There's a scene or a skit, I should say, that they did in Mad TV where Will Sasso it was obvious throughout the seasons he was losing weight because he was working hard and he was trying to lose weight, get healthier, good for him.
Right.
So then there's this scene where he's sitting there and he's talking to one of the cast members behind the scene, quote unquote, and one of the cast members goes, you're great, Will, but I mean, I don't know, something about back when you were heavier, when you were fat, you were funnier. You're not as funny as you were. And he like has this look on his face. And he just like they're standing in front of this table full of food, and he just starts fucking like wolfing food down. And, like
that's real though, because like there's a lot of comedians like their identity is tied to their weight.
Yeah.
Like take for example what if Carrot Top shaved his head.
Yeah.
It's a part of who he is.
Yeah.
Okay, I will say though, this bringing up Carrot Top, when we were all first introduced to Carrot Top, he was this scrawny little dude.
Then he became fucking.
And then he just
fucking
jacked.
Dude, he is fucking jacked. Like
he looks fucking weird.
And it makes me embarrassed because when I saw him, I'm like, man, how embarrassed would I be if Carrot Top whooped my ass? For some reason.
He fucking would.
Whoop my ass.
Yeah. Yep.
He looks fucking weird. Now, my favorite thing about Carrot Top, I'm going to throw this out there. It's totally out of the blue, but they were doing a roast, and for some reason, Carrot Top was there. It was when they were roasting fucking Flavor Flav. And you know how they sit there and they'll fuck and make fun of the other roasters?
Yeah.
One of the guys was up there, and he was like making fun of everybody, and Carrot Top was one of them, and he goes, oh, and Carrot Top's here, or as we like to call him, the Incredible Hack. And I was like, oh, fuck. And even Carrot Top was like, come on, man. It was like really fucked up.
But thinking about characters and their identities, one that jumps to mind though that enjoys that is Rob McElhenney from Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yep.
Yeah.
So most of the seasons, in the beginning, so he's this normal looking dude, but he always thinks he's super strong, that. Then one of the seasons, while the season was off, he purposely made himself fat.
Yep.
Just for the knowing the jokes that season was going to have.
I'm acquiring mass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
I'm
next
bulking.
season, he actually is ripped.
Yeah, dude.
He's carrying around a fucking trash bag full of chimichanga.
Yeah,
It's
dude.
not like a fat suit or anything. He literally put forth the effort just to get fat.
And he was sitting there like eating the chimichangas, and I remember they were like, dude, why are you out of breath? And he's like, he's like fucking like wolfing. He's like, shut up.
You're wheezing.
I'm acquiring mass.
It's breathe and then eat. It's breathe and then eat. It's separate.
I fucking love that, dude.
I gotta ask you guys a question. Go ahead. You were about to say something.
No, I was just gonna follow up on and said so he got really, really fat from one season. I can't remember if that was 11 or 12. I do know that in 13, he legit got jacked.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It actually made sense. He was acquiring mass, and then they take their break, and he comes back, and he's boof.
The Christian Bale of comedy, the one that always constantly changes his weight.
Yeah, dude.
No, it was so surprising because I had no idea in between the seasons that Rob McElhenney was putting on this weight. I had no fucking clue, and then all of a sudden the season premiere started, and you're like,
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, he walks in, the rest of the gang, they're having some meeting or talking about something, and he's like, hey guys, hey, I guess I'm gonna show you guys. And he takes his shirt off and he just poses, and they're just like, well, what is it? And they're like, I got in really good shape. And they're like,
we can use it to promote the bar.
Yeah, exactly. We can use it to promote the bar. And they're just like, all right, and they go on to talking about whatever else. They don't give a fuck. But there was one video. I don't know if he did this with I think he did it for GQ, and they're like, how did you get in such amazing shape?
Yep.
And he's painfully honest, but it was meant to be like in a comedic way. Like he was supposed to be like it was supposed to be funny or whatever. Like, but you can kind of read between the lines and be like, he's being really, really honest about this because he's talking about like, yeah, you just have to like, not see your family, work out twice a day, take some substances you're not really familiar with. And
not eat anything fun.
Yeah, not eat anything fun or whatever. And like your whole life is basically revolving around getting in really, really good shape. It's like this painfully honest, kind of a way like of how he became like in really, really good shape, and kind of like it really kind of laid out like how much like dedication it takes to get in that kind of shape.
Especially how quickly he changed. He went from eating like a normal person to purposely eating like a fucking fat slob in order to put on that mass, and just putting in thousands of calories every single day just to be a fat slob. And then immediately, the second the last scene is filmed, hitting that switch and not even going back to what you were eating, going back to eating much differently than you were before that, in order to just start getting shredded in a very short period of time between the one season and another.
So I would say my favorite scene, or my favorite kind of part of the movie, was when they're sitting in the car and some song comes on, and they're like,
the Carpenters.
Yeah, they're like, dude, this is lame. Yeah, tell me about it. Well, I can handle it if you can. All right, fine, whatever, it's fine by me. And then they cut to them both singing, and they have tears fucking streaming down their face. Yeah. Don't you remember you told me you love me, baby? I fucking love it. Dude, that part, it was so fucking great.
It works so well.
Yeah.
It really does.
One of the things that made me laugh so much about that was, one, they were fucking going all out in that song, which was just fucking brilliant. But then the other part about that made me laugh was that out of fucking nowhere, the fucking hood pops up and they're like, ah! And they can't see. And they fucking almost crashed. Like, the whole part of that movie was fucking great. I loved it.
Dude, one thing Ron said, like, is that he didn't know that this was a road trip movie. Like, and it is. Like, it's a road trip movie. Like, it's one of the best road trip movies out there.
Oh, yeah, dude.
It goes, I equal it to Dumb and Dumber, because Dumb and Dumber is another good road trip movie that I enjoy.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Another good one. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Road Trip, of course.
Road Trip was great.
Yeah.
I had sex last night with a girl.
See the French toast. It's really good.
Horatio Sands fucking puts it in his sweatpants.
Oh my God. That scene is fucking hilarious. I love that scene.
Dude. That's, never go to Denny's again. So, that was my favorite scene. Ron, I know you were talking about something that you wanted to bring up as a question about Chris Farley.
Yeah, I got to ask you guys, when it comes to SNL, what is your favorite skit with Chris Farley from NSL?
Living in a van down by the river. Chippendales scene, man. That's probably one of the funniest, because that's where he really uses his weight and he shows how athletic he fucking is, man.
Oh yeah,
he was athletic in this movie. You could see it with him doing the fucking cartwheels and everything.
The production company actually didn't want him to do the stunts, any of his stunts, and he insisted on doing his own stunts. They were worried he's going to get hurt or something like that.
Man, he's a man. That's
he's like, nope,
awesome.
I am doing it myself. Him falling through that table in the beginning, him banging his head in the bathroom scene, everything like that. Just everything, 100%.
Yeah, that scene inside the fucking airport bathroom is hilarious, because it's another way where he uses his weight as comedy, and it's fucking hilarious.
Well, and it makes you really like stop and think to yourself, if you were that big, because I've been in like airplane bathrooms and they're fucking retardedly small. Like, there's literally enough room for you to, like, from a standing position, be able to turn around. That's it. And then you think to yourself, dude, that fucking big, it would be virtually impossible for him to be able to function whatsoever in a bathroom that fucking tiny. So it's fucking comedy gold. I was going to ask you too, that have you seen the Living in a Van Down by the River, where it's a Spanish family he's talking to?
Yes.
Fucking awesome.
But the original one with Christina Applegate and David Spade.
Well,
that's the kids. And then them just breaking character and laughing.
Yeah.
And shit like that, and then playing so damn serious. It just worked so well.
What is Tyler? What is yours, SNL?
Hey, do you guys remember that one skit where he talks to a really famous person? He talks about like what they did.
Yes.
Oh my God.
That was really cool.
Hey, remember when you did that one thing with the thing and the thing? That was cool, wasn't it?
And then the guy's like, Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was. And then Chris Farley's like, I'm so stupid. God, fucking, I suck. And he starts like hitting himself. And the guy's like, no, man, no, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah,
stop.
No, that was the inner Catholic coming out.
It reminds me, it seems like the prequel. I don't know if you guys had ever seen any of the Zach Galifianakis Between Two Ferns.
Yeah.
And like that. That to me seemed like it came from that idea of that skit and gave birth to Zach Galifianakis Between Two Ferns. I loved it.
Yeah.
So honestly, man, there is a lot of Chris Farley skits that I was a big fan of, but one that comes to mind that's a little bit more obscure and not known as much is the one where my dad and I love this fucking skit. So it's they talk about when they have like a cafe or a restaurant where they trick people into drinking this coffee, and they realize after the fact that, oh, it's decaf. Oh, ha, ha, ha. And they go, well, here's one of the outtakes of one of those live recordings that we weren't able to put on TV. And it's Chris Farley, and they're like, oh, you're not drinking the regular coffee you order. You're drinking decaf Folgers Crystals. And he just kind of looks at the waiter, and he's like, what? What did you say to me? You son of a bitch, you lying son of a bitch. And he like freaks the fuck out. He gets up and starts fucking destroying the restaurant. And they're like, no, sir, no, we're sorry. They have to fucking pin him down and beat him repeatedly with a pot before he fucking passes out. It's so fucking great.
Farley fucking loved coffee too, apparently.
Yeah.
Really? To be fair, like somebody like served me decaf when I asked for a black fucking coffee, whatever. Like, yeah, I'd choke a bitch too.
Some of the people on the set had when to say that it wasn't uncommon for him to drink like 30 to 40 espressos a day.
Attaboy.
Jesus, really?
Dude. Yeah.
Jesus.
He'd kill like 3 or 4 espressos before every single scene in Tommy Boy. He would just
you could tell
pounding them.
You could
pounding
tell.
them.
Obviously, you see a 300+ pound fucking man doing cartwheels. Yeah, that makes sense. He's like, I got to get this energy out somehow.
Yeah, I mean, like, well, in general, Chris wasn't a lightweight at all. As a matter of fact, like in the book, he talks like in the book, David Spade talks about how like he just couldn't keep up. He was a lightweight. Yeah. So they go out drinking or whatever, like and Chris would get actual fucking angry. When David was just like, yeah, dude, like I'm done, man. I gotta go home. And he'd get fucking mad.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and
just speaking of Farley and Spade and drinking and stuff like that, I read one story where I guess Spade and Rob Lowe went out one night drinking.
Yep.
And I guess Spade got fucked up and was feeling like shit and super hungover the next day. And Farley got super pissed. How's Rob? How is Rob? Is Rob okay? Didn't give a fuck about Spade. Only cared that Rob Lowe was okay.
Yeah, and he got like actually mad because they went out drinking without him and didn't invite him out. Like he got like actually mad at David Spade over it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's so like from that story. Like I remember watching the video on that and recently actually, and the way it played out was basically. Chris Farley was like, went to David Spade, was like, hey, man, do you want to go out drinking? And David Spade was like, nah, man, I'm going to call it an early night because we got a long shoot tomorrow. And Chris Farley was like, all right, cool, whatever. And then Rob Lowe approached David Spade and was like, hey, man, do you want to go out and I think, like, he said just go out and, like, have dinner. And David Spade was like, okay, well, yeah, sure, we'll go out and have dinner because, like, when Chris Farley says, hey, man, do you want to go out drinking? I mean, that means they're going to be fucking out all night pounding it, right? So David Spade was like, I'm not up for that. I want to get an early night. But then Rob Lowe approached him, and Rob Lowe was like, fucking wearing golden diapers. Rob Lowe's a shit, Mm-hmm. And super cool guy, by the way. And David Spade was like, well, yeah, I mean, we can go out and have dinner, whatever. Well, one thing led to another, and they ended up going out after, they had dinner, they had a few drinks at dinner, and then Rob Lowe was like, yo, man, I know this bar that's down the road is pretty fucking cool. Do you want to go? And David Spade was like, yeah, sure. So inadvertently, he ended up fucking staying out all night, and Chris Farley found out about it the next day, and he was fucking furious because not only did he go out drinking with Rob Lowe, which is what Chris Farley wanted to do because everyone wanted to hang out with Rob Lowe because he was the coolest fucking guy on the.
And Rob Lowe and Chris at this time were actual friends. Outside.
Yeah, but how close were Chris Farley and David Spade? I mean, I know David Spade wrote the book.
No, he was just like one of the contributors.
Okay,
to the
gotcha.
Book. Like the book, like there's a ton of people that contributed to the book, like Chris Rock, Tim Meadows, like
I assume Adam Sandler,
Dan Aykroyd, like like all these people like that knew him, like all of his brothers and everything, everybody like that knew him contributed like to some portion of the book.
I gotta see the documentary that I saw a trailer for a documentary for Chris Farley that looked like I Am Chris Farley or something like that, or I don't know what it is. Have you ever heard of it?
No, I haven't seen it.
It was on Netflix or something like that. I have to watch that.
From what I understand, they were friends, regular writing partners at SNL.
Yeah.
That's actually where the Fat Man little coat thing came from. That he would regularly show up whenever, just constantly surprise David Spade. They'd be doing like, hey, I got to talk to you about something, and then Spade would come over, Fat Man in a little coat, and just constantly fucking with Spade, and they decided, well, we find this funny, maybe other people will, and that's why they decided to include in the movie. But when they were going to do the film, they had, of course, Farley was going to be the star. They didn't know who the second was going to be, who the straight man was going to be, and it came, Farley wanted actually Adam Sandler. Lorne Michaels like, nope, Adam's getting ready to do Billy Madison. No, he can't star in another one at the same time.
Right.
Even though Chris Farley then went on to do a small part in Billy Madison. That's a bus driver.
He did a lot of small parts in a lot of those movies, just like Coneheads.
Yeah, they were all friends. Everybody was friends.
Wayne's World. Wayne's World, Coneheads, also Airheads.
Hey. A lot of guys' girlfriends are back there.
So, but they were friends, but they weren't. I think probably from everything that I saw, Adam Sandler and him were the tightest of that group. Like, have you guys heard Adam Sandler's tribute song to Chris Farley? That came out
I have heard that. I have heard that.
Oh my god, that fucking brings a tear to my fucking eye.
Yeah,
dude,
man.
You remember we watched that together?
Yeah, dude.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was heavy, dude. It was heavy, but it was really like you had so much respect for Adam Sandler for coming up with that song, two, for how much emotion and heart was when you hear him singing it, you can tell that every fucking note is got his. He really fucking loved that guy. And then three, just how much Chris Farley affected every life that he came in contact with.
Yeah, he rest in peace, man.
He was a great fucking guy, man.
Comedic legend.
So one of the other things I want to bring up is that, obviously 3 out of the 4 of us have a lot of nostalgia, and we have...
Fucking loser.
God damn it, man.
Ron, you disappoint me.
So there's a punishment shot on his own. All right,
I'm going to find an iconic movie for me to review that you guys have not seen. Seriously, I'm going to find it.
I'll
find it.
Fucking have that.
Find an iconic movie that 3 out of the 4 of us have seen, and the other one isn't, and you can give shit to that 4th person.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will be doing some research because I will find one.
So in the meantime, one
Caligula.
of the unique...
And it can't be some iconic movie.
Caligula.
Like, did you see the black and white version of this? Came out in 1922. It can't be some bullshit like that.
The original Frankenstein movie. Shut the fuck up. So no, It presents us with a unique situation because I will say that 3 out of the 4 of us have actual nostalgia from when we were much, much younger, having seen this, and you are the one person who is fresh in the group that just saw it, and I would love to hear a little bit more in-depth opinion from you as far as do you think that this movie is worth the nostalgia and sort of the pedestal that the 3 of us put it on, or do you, having freshly seen it, or what is your raw opinion?
Well, I compare this. The thing is, I compare this to other movies that I've seen from the '90s, other comedies.
Yeah,
like I said, Liar Liar, Billy Madison, all those movies right there. It would go into that type of bracket of movies. So I would actually believe that this is just as good as those. So I would love it. Now, people of this generation might not, but they can also go in seeing who the hell is Chris Farley, because everybody says how Chris Farley is a comedic legend. Well, this movie right here shows it right there. So I think it's worth a watch for people of this generation because they get to see what type of comedy that we grew up on. I'm used to this comedy because I've seen other comedy. It's just this one that I haven't seen, but I've seen other comedies that are sort of related to this one. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I would kind of compare that to like the first time I saw The Jerk. Obviously, that was a long time after the Jerk came out, obviously. And it was a different view, a different lens of comedy, from a different era than I was currently growing up in, and had changed. And I could probably say that I still appreciated the hell out of Jerk. I loved the Jerk. It's a great fucking film.
Well, Steve Martin is another comedic legend. There's a lot of them out there. I mean, Michael Myers, Steve Martin, Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey is probably one of the biggest ones. He's the one that got more mainstream than out of all the guys altogether. He's probably the more moneymaker. Like, whenever Jim Carrey's name came in the credits, people went to go to the theaters, and it made money. The other guys, not as much. But it's worth the watch. But I think it's worth the watch just to see Chris
Michael
Farley.
Myers, he was super, super hot for a minute there.
Yeah,
but this was way after. Well, his first movie was a flop. Austin Powers was a huge flop. It became more of a cult.
Yeah, and that
through video.
gave a huge following.
Yeah.
And the next handful of movies that he did they may not have been critical successes, but they were definitely huge financial successes.
Yeah.
You know, one thing that I will throw out there about Tommy Boy, that even as a kid, and then especially as I got older and I've seen this movie several times, that one thing I appreciated every time I saw it was I love that sort of that small community, that small community feel of these guys that work in this factory together, these blue collar guys that, you know, they all grow up in the same like kind of smaller like little area. They all know each other very well. They're all family. I grew up not in a community like that. And I remember seeing this as a kid and wishing so badly that I had had something like that, where, you know, you grow up and you just, everyone knows everyone, and it's, you know, a lot of people work at the same kind of place, and it's like very family oriented. Everyone's got like a very close knit sort of relationship.
Yeah.
That was one of the things about the movie that I really, really appreciated a lot. And I find is missing nowadays. You don't see that as much nowadays. Every like small town or every small community that you have, it's very quick to commercialize, get big. Walmart shows up into town and fucking everything blows up. And the next thing you know, you kind of lose that personality, that of everyone kind of knows everyone kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I really got a positive sort of view of how cool that can be to grow up like that. So, and kind of like what you were saying, Tyler, about Chris Farley having that people pointing out that if you really want to get to know him, then that personality of Tommy Boy is like the way to go. Is such a cool fucking thing to know, because you want to love and you want to be a part of that guy's world. You want to be friends with him. You want to get to know him because he's such a nice guy and he's got such a good heart, you know. So that was one of the things that I really gravitated to when I watched this film for the first time, and even now having watched it today.
I enjoyed watching it with you guys. It seems like this was a good movie to watch with a bunch of guys.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what I felt like it was. It was great.
And this is one of those films that's so fucking cool too, because like I can tell you from experience, like being at work, if it comes on the TV, like everyone in the room's like, cool. They'll fucking set the remote down.
Yeah.
And this is what we're watching. Like if people can't decide on what they want to watch, and that movie's on the television, it's a done deal.
Yeah,
the remote could set down.
Yeah. That was actually something I thought about earlier when I was asking about if everybody had it on VHS growing up, because I was like, even though we had on tape,
yeah,
if it came on TV, we're still watching it.
Yes.
Like, no fucking question.
You've seen it like a million times. Where you're like, fuck it, we'll watch this.
So this is one of those movies. Like if you see it on TV, you're not turning it off. You're going to leave it on.
Yep.
But
yeah. See, that's how
Die Hard. I have seen that movie a million fucking times.
You never get sick of it.
If I'm flipping through the channels, I don't. And even though I hate fucking commercials, I hate editing and shit like that happens on TV, I'm still sitting down. I'm like, okay,
I have a movie that does the exact same thing. Goodfellas. Whenever I see Goodfellas, I don't want to turn it off. I want to stay, focused on that movie. I fucking love that movie.
And that's even worsely edited than Die Hard would be on TV.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I picked this movie because honestly, the moment that I sit and I watch it, doesn't matter what age I am, it brings me back to that time in my life, and it really kind of puts you in that era of Chris Farley where he burned real bright, and he was just something that everyone turned to for comedy. He was an amazing man, and it was an amazing movie, and I hope everyone who hasn't seen it, please go out and see it, because it is fantastic. And that's all I got. Hey guys, thanks for listening to our podcast, Barrel Age Flicks. We are so excited for the upcoming episodes headed your way, and bonus episodes of The Small Batch, Sammy Selects, and now the new Tasting Room. If you like our show, please spread the word, give us a like, or leave us some kind of review on any of the social media pages. Give us a follow on Instagram, Barrel Flicks, or Facebook, Barrel Age Flicks. Our podcast is available on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Anchor, Radio Public, Audible, Pocket Cast, Spotify, CastBox, YouTube, and now Pandora. Please shoot us an email at barrelageflicks@gmail.com with comments and movie suggestions for future shows or any other things you'd like to let us know. Credit to Carl Casey at White Bat Audio on YouTube. Man, your music is awesome. We thank you so much for that. It's great. You guys go ahead and check him out. I just want to say thank you so much. We hope to see you guys next week. Thank you so much for listening. See you then.